stand with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of walk-ons after 12. It'll be 12A, B, and C.
I know.
So let's get started here. Yes, so we are accepting the resignation tonight of people who have dedicated a significant amount of their lives to this school district. Teachers and, yes, we're retiring. Isn't that sort of goodbye, or is it not goodbye? It is. Well, they won't be in our employ as of these effective dates, so we always like to draw at least a little bit of attention to this. Not sure if they came or if we've got flowers. I know that was John's touch. I'm not enough of a romantic yet.
I think we'll do something more formal towards the end of the school year.
Yeah, let's try to do that, because Daryl's 16 years of service, and Barbara Willer 16 years, and Amy Smith as a bus driver 25, and my old pal Mimi Duncan 29 years of service. So we've been really lucky to have these. So I'll like a motion to accept these resignations. In second? Second. All in favor? Aye. So they have moved on to another part of their lives. This is your turn, Kimberly. Were we expecting Gary West?
I thought we were. Have not heard that one.
Okay, so a lot of this information that I'll be presenting to you this evening is very familiar. I'm not sure how many of you have heard, but the governor has given us new projections again. As of late yesterday or early this morning, Michael McGuire had new printouts for me for state aid. So just starting, Michael, did you want to speak to the enrollment and staffing?
Yes, as you'll recall from our last board meeting, we've done some look backs at enrollment and staffing over the past, since 2008. And I got to looking at the numbers a little more deeply, comparing bids, district records, and the study from Cornell. And out of all of it, I decided to use bids. That's the official state numbers. So I took the BEDS enrollment from 2008, and then I took our current enrollment and rolled it over to be a fall of 2014 enrollment, and that's a loss of 15.19%. And then, as you recall, we looked through all the abolishments and appointments and creations and the net of all that, and with this year's recommendations for the budget that begins July 1st, the net reduction in teachers, counselors, not support staff. This isn't about this. These figures don't reflect support staff. Is 13.72%. So I think it's just a good reference point that we are making recommendations, sadly, to reduce staff, but at the same time we have lost enrollment over that same time period. And we've begun our work with the consultants, Kevin Mack and Ed Caparella. And our first conversation with them zeroed right in on enrollment. And they have some different methodologies, and they're going to present, kind of look at enrollment going forward, so that we'd be able to make very informed decisions based on the future.
So before you move on there, we're looking at this period of time, and I think that's a reasonable period of time. What does BED stand for?
Basic Educational Data.
Okay.
System. Yeah,
okay.
It's the official state, across the state, first Wednesday in
That's
October.
Fine. So if we looked at the last few years, particularly with our kindergarten classes, is there some indication that we're starting to stabilize? I mean, we've reduced over the 5-year period. Nobody's arguing that stuff. I'm wondering, if we just looked at the last 2 or 3, are we seeing a stabilization in the population? Is it still look like it's dipping down, or is it even showing something of a little bit of a creep? What can you guys tell me about what that data looks like?
We have to look at,
that's what I mean.
Jeannie has a sense of that, and then, well, the other piece of it is we're losing a very large senior class.
That's what I mean, a lot of this data gets skewed until that last slug
Yeah.
of students leaves,
Yeah.
you know, and then most of them are in this 60 to 90 range?
I would say we're about a little over 80 in third and fourth this year. And second is our bubble, where it's more like 90. And then first and kindergarten are between like 70 to 80,
Okay.
so.
So we've stabilized, we've got a pretty stable population, is it the same in the middle school, and you're done with
The
this thing?
senior, this year's senior class is the largest class in the district, they're 102 right now.
What's the next one?
The,
Still in the
the
90s?
senior class for next year is in the mid to high 70s.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
So, but there's a larger class, like the freshman class coming in is high 80s. So it's, you know, it's not like we're dropping off 25, 30 kids, but we are dropping off, I think it's 14 kids.
But I guess to the point, I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that maybe we're stabilized. You know what I mean, it's been da-da-da-da, and now maybe that last little bit goes, that 2030 baby boom kid thing finally goes through, and then it is what it is for maybe another 10, 15 years.
Our, people who have signed up for kindergarten screening were a little bit higher than we were the last 2 years at this time. So if that indicates anything, we should at least be the same.
Also, I've seen in the paper that the population of Tompkins County is up 2%. I know that the Cornell data that we were looking at pretty closely, because they had gone way back and gone into the future, sort of definitely showed us leveling us off. So it's kind of playing out that way, leveling off.
Other questions about this stuff?
Yeah, so Michael, when you say teachers, counselors, et cetera, what's et cetera?
Just everybody but support staff.
So it could be social worker, it could
So
be.
where are we in support staff then?
Support staff didn't show as large of a drop. I can do the exact same methodology, but support staff, I think we've added some aides around special education here and there, and so that didn't show the same size of reduction.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this slide is the one that's been presented at the last several board meetings. It's just a reminder that from our current fiscal year, 13-14, to the fiscal that we're moving into, the increase over current to the next fiscal is just under 800,000. Again, these are the positions that were previously discussed. These were the recommendations that were made to the board. A total of 7.33 FTEs, and that does include some support staff positions in there. The dollar amount, really, the reason why I'm showing this information again tonight is for you to see that dollar amount of total reduction. So that 7.33 equates to just over $400,000. I think this is the point where, okay, now I have to, bear with me, I have to go out and go to another document so that you can see the change in the revenue stream. Yeah, sorry, it's a big document, and I didn't attempt to put it into PowerPoint because that would have made it smaller yet. So I'll try to walk you through this. If we start with this first column here, this is, if I scrolled all the way to the bottom, you can see the very bottom number is $24,362,000. That's our current budget, so the revenue stream for 13-14. So that far left column is the revenue stream that was adopted for our current fiscal. The yellow column, next one over, is what we actually anticipate receiving this fiscal. And really the line to pay attention to would be a section in the center, which is right here, where it starts with basic operating aid, these numbers in here. These are the numbers that are provided to us from the state. And you can see, if you look at the BOCES aid, this is a number at the original revenue stream. Sorry, too much caffeine today.
So it's 1.39 million?
Thank you. Started at 1.39 million, and you can see this is an expenditure-driven revenue stream. So my anticipation is that it will really come in at 1.261. So it's slightly less. And why that is so important is if I go one column over, in the projection for fiscal 15, the governor has anticipated that our aid from our BOCES expenditures will be 1.5 million. Now I know that not to be true because I've looked at the 3-year history, and so my projection for fiscal 15 is actually closer to 1.2 million. So you can see right there, it's about $300,000 less than what he's projected. The reason for that is some expenditures, we need to put in the expenditure budget, we need to anticipate those, and in the end, if we don't have special education students participate in those programs, or they only participate for a couple of months, and we bring them back to district, those expenditures decrease. So it's not a given, we can't count on that aid until we actually spend it, so.
Kimberly, so when you say, the difference between 1.39 and 126, that's, you set that 1.39 based on an expenditure model
Correct.
that you looked at a few years before.
No, actually, it's like a 3-year average that I looked at.
Okay, so it's a 3-year average to get that 1392, and then it came in at 1261. And that difference, as I understood and have heard you say before, is it because we always have to budget for somebody that shows up on June 20th
Yes.
and needs the services that we have to provide for that sort of emergency? So the governor thinks, moving forward, the governor thinks we're gonna need even more than they projected at 139.
Correct. And
So what is, okay, and then you're saying, no, we need even less than we use this year. And I'm wondering what was involved in you making that big of a jump?
At some point, all these numbers will catch up, but you'll see the governor's projections are always behind ours. So the 1.21, this number right here is now coming out from the governor for this fiscal. So these are anticipated runs from the governor, and they're saying, okay, for this fiscal, you're really going to receive 1.2. So that 1.2 is a very real number. So now moving forward, that 1.5 I know is very high because I already know the state's telling me we're going to pick up 1.2. Okay, so now I'm looking at a 3-year average. I'm also looking at what they're telling us we're going to receive for this fiscal, and I'm choosing this number. It's 1.1.
So what are you doing with okay.
Okay, so keep moving forward, and the reason why I point that out to you is that there's a section in that yellow of expenditure-driven revenue that we really can't count on. So if you just look at the governor's preliminary estimates and you say, well, Trumansburg is going to pick up 1.5, you really have to instead look at, well, no, this year we're getting 1.2. Our enrollment's declining. I can't imagine that we're going to pick up more. And we have to factor in what we actually receive. So it's very deceiving if you just look at the runs and you take that as that's the aid the district will receive. To a district our size, if we're off by 100,000, that's really significant. So we really have to look at what we believe the true numbers will come in at. So this purple column here, again, I'm only showing you this middle section because this is the state aid. Those are the numbers that the governor has projected for us. The dark purple is what I came out the first time with the first preliminary estimate, and this light purple to the right of that is what came out today.
So gap elimination,
Yeah, so the good news is you can see foundation aid changed for the first time in several years. We picked up an additional, this column here is the difference. So we picked up an additional 67,000 from his first run to our current run. Oh my gosh, I can't hold that thing.
Yeah,
It's so
anyway.
big, myself. So we're picking up an additional 67,000 in foundation aid, which sounds great. It is great. Gap elimination adjustment, the first time around.
Restoration.
Gap elimination.
Ooh.
Hello, goodbye.
Correct.
Should just take a
Okay, there we go. The gap elimination adjustment restoration, the first time around was 121, and now, oh, thanks, who's doing that for me? And now
Wow.
it's projected at 307, so we picked up an additional 186,000, which is great news for our district. You can see the next line down, which is excess and private cost aid. Those are special education driven, and that went down about 26,000. So that took away from the excess that they had projected for us. If we go down a little bit further, building aid is the next one I want to draw your attention to. It is stated at this point that the re-amortization on building aid, which is debt going back several years, is not going to be recalibrated, which for our district means I don't have to decrease our building aid by 75,000. In addition to that, the state has given us a little bit more, so I'm not sure if they've changed something else in that formula. But it looks like we'll pick up an additional 123,000. They're holding off that recalibration for another fiscal. That's what they said. They said that last year too. So we just hope they keep holding that off, which means more building aid for us. and it appears at this point to be an additional 123,000. If we go all the way to the bottom of the difference, it looks like it says 350,000. Yep, thank you. It looks to the person that's comparing the first set of runs with the second set of runs, wow, Trumansburg's picking up 350,000 in additional revenue. They should be doing okay. The reality is, if you look at the yellow section, so if you start at state aid and you go from left to right, which is here, and you go all the way across, we want to look at the first yellow column, which is 11.8 million. That's what we're receiving this year. The next yellow set is what we anticipate to get in 14-15 is 11.9. So truly, the difference between what I anticipate getting this year and what I anticipate getting next year is a difference of 191,000 overall for just the state aid piece.
Well, and your point is that what? The majority of that difference between what they're saying we're getting and we're saying we're getting is the disparity in the BOCES money. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, in all the expenditure-driven revenues. So
Right.
if you speak to any
Right.
school district,
Right.
they would tell you, you cannot count on expenditure-driven revenue. So those
Okay.
numbers have to be
Okay.
very real. So you have to work with what you know to be true and not necessarily the projections.
So here's the question now. What was the number that was projected when the 1.3 came through in that first white column? Remember that?
First white column.
The first white column there, the
This
BOCES
one?
number, yeah.
BOCES? I don't know, I would have to look. I'm assuming it was probably higher than that.
And then you picked that one and they came in even lower.
Yep.
Okay.
So
All right.
I was closer than
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
in
mean,
the end-
I don't think anybody likes the fact that we're guessing at this, especially when guessing,
I
you know.
wouldn't call it guessing. I think
Well,
it's very close.
but what bothers me, okay, here's why it feels like guessing to the average person who
Okay.
doesn't live with this all the
Okay.
time. It feels like guessing because the governors can come off appearing generous for putting a $1.5 million expense-driven thing,
Correct.
which means they bookmark that money, right? And then, you only get what you use, and it seems like, at least consistently, you're showing we're not using
Correct.
what they're doing, and so we're undershooting that in transportation and in BOCES.
And sometimes.
And that's what I mean by guessing. I mean, it's when a couple of people are trying to estimate, that's looking a lot more like guessing to me.
Well, but we're basing it on very real numbers. So transportation aid, for example, we can look at the number of summer school students that we transport, and we can calculate the aid on that. We also look at the salaries that are aidable. If you have a retiree that has left, that changes the numbers. So if the governor is putting this information out now, and then I have a retiree,
Yeah.
it changes things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think that what we are working with locally are very real numbers.
Yeah.
And
That's the point I'm
why I
making.
pointed out, so that, the average person, if they just look at the numbers, it doesn't tell the full story. You have to go much deeper than that.
Which no one would do.
The
The price
20
will still say it's a 4% raise.
That's what I mean. Which no one would do.
Yeah, and John shared that with me yesterday. I looked at the percentage, and I said, I'm not even using that percent, because I really have to look at every individual number and what that means for our district. So you can see last year, the revenues came in at 24,362. At this point, it's 24,757. And so that will be the budget that I present to you next Monday for adoption. The difference, though, what I've not included in that light purple column is that we have to include in our building aid capitalized interest. That's when we go out and borrow the next bond, we actually borrow the interest as well. And so that will increase my revenue stream by $197,000. I didn't include that here because I think it's deceiving. It may appear to the onlooker that we actually have an additional $197,000 in revenue. We do not. We have an expense on the expense side in the exact same amount. So our revenue stream will be $200,000 higher than that. However, there's an expense on the other side to offset that exact same amount.
Questions about this stuff? Onward.
Okay, back to the PowerPoint.
We wanted to kind of summarize, because we've been talking about this for several months now, and kind of in a nutshell, this year's budget recommendations based on continuation of the work we started last year, and presenting a balanced budget that maintains quality educational program for our students while addressing state funding, tax cap, lower enrollment staffing, We want to increase efficiency, and the crazy maker, the wild card in all this is our unsustainable dependency on reserves. And, you know, we talked about that. Kimberly calls them the piggy banks. We still have those. We're still dependent on those in this budget. However, we are kind of cautiously optimistic that we've stabilized. We feel like we've stabilized, and now we want to look more to the future. Kimberly and I met with our consultants last Thursday, and it was a lot about let's firm up the numbers. They want to get right into enrollment figures and where we're at with our district, but they also want to know. And we'll be asking you, we'll set it up for them to talk to board members and our community. You know, what is that Trumansburg is now known for, and what are we proud of, and what do we want to maintain and add to or enhance that we already provide for our Trumansburg students that will prepare them for their best future. So you'll hear that theme coming out this spring. We've got this budget process. The board adopts next Monday. And then
We have our retreat.
We
at the end of the
prepare for a
month.
vote. We've got April 23rd is our board retreat. We've invited the consultants to that so they can be a part of that conversation and help draw out from us, you know, really what are our hopes and dreams and what is also our reality, so that we stay grounded. But what do we want to be known for, and what can we do to enhance what we already do for our students?
Questions for us?
No. Okay. Can we get Cisco, can you hook us with the lights?
Okay.
So, that moves us to open forum. We can give district residents an opportunity to ask any questions about the agenda operation. Personnel matters will not be addressed in public session. Comments may be recorded and responded to by the board. We ask you to keep comments brief. Hi. Hi, Grace, go ahead.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
I just wanted to say a little brief thing. As a parent of a graduate of Trumansburg School, I would like to publicly thank Mimi Duncan and Daryl Anderson for their inspiration, leadership, and service to not only my son, who learned a great deal, not only math, from them, but the countless number of young people whose lives they touched and enriched in so many ways. Also, this year I've gotten to know and admire Barb Wohlers. She too has touched lives of those around her, and we are all the richer for it. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't usually clap at open forum. That's very good. Thanks for coming, Chris. She taught a couple of my kids too, so I'm happy about that, especially. Other members of the community interested? Yeah. Stand up. Yeah. Hi.
I'm here to propose that we change the school dress code because we find it kind of discriminatory towards female students in general. The dress code only applies to girls, and boys don't really have to follow the dress code. And repealing the choice of clothing is kind of like taking away the self-confidence in a child, because the joy of choosing your own style is a way of expressing yourself. So we're just trying to kind of just revise it to make it more fair.
Thank you for that. Great. Other members of the community? Excellent. Okay. So, policy. We've got the first reading of this purchasing policy, which I was having a tough time sleeping the other night, so trying to pick up that purchasing policy.
We got the cure for that.
That's right. Okay. Anything let's first, I need a motion. And a second?
Second.
Okay, now we'll discuss. You want to clarify the important things here, policy committee members? Or Michael or someone?
Well, we need to give kudos to Michael, because technically speaking, this is a marriage of a number of recommendations. And rather than having multiple 5014, 5016, 5012, whatever, what we managed to do was to put it together and to make it very clarified it actually, when we put the information together. It is very comprehensive, and a lot of the information there we've already checked with Kimberly, so.
We're good?
We're good, we followed it.
Okay.
Good with that,
Okay.
right?
All right, so this is the first reading. We get one more shot at it. Douglas,
If
go
I
ahead.
could also add,
Sure.
I mean, one of the reasons, the impetus behind this revision is that New York State can now, for the first time in our history, take advantage of piggybacking options with contracts from our district. In the past, we've not been able to enter into business. It may not make a huge difference to us because we're so used to purchasing cooperative with BOCES and local, but, you know, should the need occur, we now do have that option. It's one of the mandates.
So you're saying we could create a cooperative with a school district in Pennsylvania?
California.
California?
Yeah, we get the best prices on gas.
Well, check it out.
Okay.
Shipping.
You'll go out and check it out, that's right.
Shipping will get you, check out.
Yeah, but shipping will get there.
That's right.
I need some heat.
Okay, so,
That's where all the extra verbiage came from.
okay, so let's, do we wanna sit on this again, or let's just, we don't wanna sit it again?
Could I,
Go
could
ahead,
I wonder why this one thing was crossed out, which is on page 17. Says no board member or employee of school district shall have an interest in any contract entered into by the board of the school district. Why was that crossed out?
I believe it's duplicative, I think.
It
it's
probably is
somewhere else.
clarified in other policies, cause I've seen it in board policy before.
Okay.
So this may be redundant, but how
I
about
don't
we?
redundant.
I
Huh?
will, I will.
Redundant.
That's
I will- I will
that's
go
a
find out.
different question.
I might have crossed out too much, I will go double check to make sure that,
I just,
that it is
have
someplace.
another reading and adoption of the measure.
We're gonna have another reading, that's why it's the first reading, okay? So if there's, we're certainly gonna get information. So the question is, what's wrong with redundant, is the current question on the table for Mr. Cook. Do we have an English professor in the audience that'd like to discuss that? So, we're gonna have a second reading, so do we have any more further discussion about this reading? Or we wanna make sure when we have the next reading, it's answers to it? Okay, hearing none, we need, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, abstentions, we pass. So Douglas, this is your turn here.
Well, if you notice, you have a pile of paper here. And if you want, I can now forward it all to you. I just wanted you to have it in front of you tonight when I started. I guess the first is the CNY report, the Central New York report, and I included this, you know what's going on there, I suppose. Most of Charlie's time this month has been totally absorbed with either our CNY budget or, going across the state with Rick Sims, working on the GEA elimination and increasing commitment to education aid for our public schools. They, as you may have seen, launched a telephone letter writing campaign, and it was incredibly successful. I don't think we've ever had results quite as clear as these. We had many, many phone calls and contacts. So thank you all, those of you who took the time to do that. I also wanted to mention that the upcoming Central New York Annual Dinner, which is going to be held Thursday, May 29th at the Welch Allen Lodge in Skinny Atlas. It's a wonderful occasion. It's always a lot of fun, great dinner, but a great opportunity also to talk with fellow board members and our business partners who do support Central New York as well. The speaker promises to be excellent, somewhat revolutionary, I think. We have not announced him yet because we're not absolutely positive he's in the process of publishing any book. So the schedule is a little sketchy, but hopefully we'll get to do it. Moving on to the Student Achievement Institute. I don't know how many of you noticed the notifications about these, but they're a free service offered by NISBA. There was one in Buffalo Friday, one in Syracuse Saturday. There will be another one in Albany on the 12th. You have the agenda there, and I'd just like to read the notes, some of the notes that I took. This is kind of a doom and gloom. It's going to be a bit of a glass of ice water in your face.
So you were at this?
I went to this. Oh,
So
yes.
you heard from this Daggett guy?
I've heard from him many times. This is my third session with him, and he changes it up every time. Excellent presenter. He spoke to the demographics, which indicate that a large percentage of our students are woefully unprepared for college, let alone the 21st century world of work. Hence, the need for Common Core, a national updated standards which address the current needs of the college and work world. And I will send that presentation to you. Dr. Carl Van de Kar, who is the Associate Provost of Academic Affairs at the State University of New York at Cortland, spoke to the issue that K-12 institutions, colleges, and our businesses do not have meaningful conversations with one another, and probably have since the late 1800s. In an interview of college faculty, 20% found that their students were, misspelled back there, sorry, were not sufficiently prepared. Classes had taken in high school appeared to have very little academic rigor. They lacked writing skills, reading comprehension was a major issue for students being presented academic articles for the first time. Critical thinking skills, the ability to find, compare and contrast, evaluate the quality of the information, and then use the information and integrate it into a larger context was absent in most first-year college students. Furthermore, unfortunately, many students don't really know themselves very well, and they have trouble separating their personal goals from those of others for them, educators, parents, counselors, that sort of thing. Some lack self-drive, organizational skills, and self-discipline, and are sometimes inexperienced in working through conflict or able to collaborate.
I'm just watching Abby as you say that.
I'm sorry, Abby.
Jeez.
This
Good
is
luck.
not-
Sorry, Abby.
Not necessarily the case with all of our students. This is just what they see coming through.
No, it's not that. It's not good.
Yeah. Jim King of King and King Associates, who also spoke, described. Questions?
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. 4 things that need to change in the school-business relationship. The first being that we need to have a relationship. We need to see ourselves as a business with customers who have needs we are responsible for meeting. We need to know what higher ed needs from K-12. Secondly, we need to prepare our teachers. We tend to prepare our teachers, in silence, math, English, etc., without exploring the collaborations between the silos. In fact, in some schools, they have been eliminating department chairs, or at least exclusive department chairs, and getting people from other departments to chair, so that they are forced to have dialogue between departments and really look at the codependencies between them. The new world of work is all about exploring collaborations, about supporting interests and ideas between silos. Thirdly, our kids need to be exposed to the connection between what they are learning and the real world of work. And finally, we need to revise our report card system so that it is evaluating how skilled, engaged, and knowledgeable about the why, what, and how our students are learning. These are complex constructs and cannot be measured by a letter grade or number. And I suspect that reforming our system of reporting student achievement is perhaps going to be the biggest challenge our K-12 system faces at the moment. It's a little scary. This is by far the best presentation I've attended in some time, and it is free. There will be another one in Albany, April 12th, and it is listed on the NASPA calendar of events. So you have there both the agenda. The speakers there will be different because these are sort of location specific, and they are trying to get speakers who will address constituents in that area. And NISBA will be doing more of these. As I said, they are free. They're also free to non-members, and they're really very engaging.
Did the school district that talked about the Common Core stuff in the afternoon, did you hear these people?
I did indeed.
So was it, I mean, would they have a similar experience that we had, which maybe, because it was so well handled, we didn't get a lot of the sort of drama that a lot of other places have, or was it a drama-filled place down there?
Quite frankly, the whole thing was about how to get around and away from the drama. I think, to be perfectly honest with you, both the press and the governor have taken advantage of some of the confusion and really blown it completely out of proportion.
To be honest, I'm not sure they've done anything thoughtfully about this. If it's happened by accident. I'm fairly sure that,
so many boards are really, we have board members who are.
I don't know. I have to tell you though, Douglas, can I say something?
Sure.
I know this isn't you saying it,
No.
but I don't know, for the millions of teachers that kick their, really kill themselves every day to
I
do it,
know.
to be told that what they've been doing has just been the absolute biggest waste of time the face of the earth has ever
I
seen.
know.
I wanna go and smack these people.
I
So
know.
I don't find, I think it gets everybody in a lather, and then you can sell them more stuff. Which is, ultimately what I think this is about. Pearson needs to sell more stuff, and everybody else needs to sell more stuff. So, I'm pleased that we hear from differing opinions, but to be honest, and I don't mean it's anything particular about what we're doing here. We visit schools all over the place. I do when I travel to places. I don't think that we are failing that as miserably. I think that there are things that need to be improved, and I think that people, and I think that for us at least, in this district, we've sort of been told to embrace this approach and invest in training and pay attention to the details along the way. And so I think it's good that we hear from these people, but I think we have to modulate a little bit the gloom and doom, because it sort of disrespects, I think, a long line of people who, as you know, have sort of dedicated their lives to this.
I do. The other aspect about this, what bothers me, is that if this appears to be a one-size-fits-all, and that's not the case. I think that, especially in New York, individual school districts are uniquely that. They're individual. They have different issues, different problems, but at the same time, yes, okay, maybe there is, we need to keep this focus, but this to me was a little too Cassandra-ish.
It is a little Cassandra-ish, but I do think if you look at it more carefully, you will see that actually it does allow you to tailor your needs.
Yeah, and I think we're doing that, right?
To the area around you,
Yeah.
which is the point.
Yeah, and I think, that's exactly right, and I think, well, at least we're starting to see here, that would be nice if we got asked sometime, as a place that didn't have much drama, about what worked here, which looked like a lot of the training investments we've made, and the board has allotted time and energy to that for the staff. And also that there's a lot of creativity in adapting these modules, based on at least what I've seen, the limited view that I've had. They're trying to adapt a little bit.
We've been very, very fortunate in that respect. Unfortunately, that has not been the case.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fortunate as much as we might have been smarter than other people. How about we take it as we were smarter than a lot of other people?
I'll go for that.
I'm not willing to put that up to chance. We hired good people and asked them to do it, and I think they did.
We do.
I think it's not more complicated than that.
I would have to say that I do think we need to engage further with the community of work around us.
Oh, you mean
I feel
the industry
very
around us?
passionately about that, yeah.
Yeah, I
And we're
agree.
working on it. I mean, we have the Workforce Investment Board, they're coming to BOCES on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They're-
Yeah, Madison had some really good ideas about
Yeah, oh,
this.
definitely.
I think that he's on the right track over there.
It is. We have Cortland with one of these new tech, schools coming up.
Well, the STEM stuff, and we got a pretty good manufacturer down the road in Corning that might be interested in
Not
working with
only
us.
Corning, but, we're looking at collaborating with Work Warner, there are all sorts of opportunities.
I spent a week last week in a mower factory, outside
Oh,
of
I
London.
think you did.
A mower factory, a lawnmower
You
factory.
take care about their lawn.
I know how to have a good time. We were rocking
I
the
was
mower
gonna say,
factory.
can you tell us more?
That's right. I knew you were waiting all night. It was on the agenda. It got covered.
Can you laser?
I'm sorry, Douglas. We have wandered astray.
Yeah, just a
My
laser.
apologies. Douglas, any more from you?
I have no doubt led you astray.
Okay.
Rural School
Okay.
Conference. This truly is perhaps one of the best conferences that education offers in New York. I mean, people from all over come to it. It is not cheap, that's why I included the, alternate places to stay. But it is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for anyone needing a little less doom and gloom and inspiration. All there are wonderful program descriptions.
They'll be selecting a new executive director
They
shortly, yes?
will be. They met Friday, we'll be meeting at the end of April, and then, of course, then
The conference.
The conference.
Okay, board forum, let's hear from you, Abby.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, wait, not yet. Peter. I got my note here, Peter. Facilities. Is there anything to report on facilities?
There is.
Excellent. Sorry.
They started site work.
They tried to make me look good, but I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
They started site work today. That's all I have to say.
So somebody brought a shovel? Somebody brought a shovel?
They're out there looking at it. Michael's team was out there pulling bleachers away, the room balloons, and they're getting into it. That's all. They're just gonna put the fencing around it and next, you know. But they're raring to go.
Boy, the weather's not cooperating.
Weather's bad.
Weather's
There's
bad.
no excuse.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's mud no matter what it is now, it's just gonna be mud no matter what.
No,
water.
Yeah.
Michael's department's gonna be here at our next board meeting and every board meeting
Excellent.
to update us every couple weeks.
And that's the way,
Feedback on that?
please do,
Yes.
yes. We wanna hear as much about this as you guys feel we should, in my opinion.
Well, I want to go back to the experience factor of several years ago, our last capital project. We had trucks rolling out of here early in the morning, which upset a few of the neighbors at the end of the driveways. So I've asked with the time to heat that,
I'll
not
pass that.
before, I think it's 7:30, we have the set parameters about.
They have prescribed hours that they can be on site and run equipment. It's in the contract.
And Mike, I'm sure at least pays attention to that stuff too, right?
We both do.
Oh, they'll remind us.
Yeah.
And the neighbors.
So noted. So let's be sure, let's hear about this as much as we can. Yeah. Okay. So now, Abigail.
All right, so since we were gone a couple of weeks, I have a pretty long list.
Excellent.
Friday, April 21st was the Brawl for the Ball tournament in Lansing. It's the dodgeball tournament. 16s from each school competed, and the student council split the profits between them. So we had a good amount of money, and one of our teams won.
Okay.
That was great. The day after that was the boys club volleyball tournament. They pitched 5th out of 13 teams. Spring Fling money will be used from the Brawl for the Ball tournament for Spring Fling, which is going to be April 26th, I think. Track team has their first track meet tomorrow at Dryden. Tennis competed this afternoon, I'm not sure where, but somewhere. Last week was Sad Club's It Can Wait Week. It was a campaign against texting and driving. A lot of people signed pledges and bought t-shirts to support that. Robot Raiders competed this weekend in their competition, and they finished 14th or 15th.
14th.
14th out of 49 teams.
Robot?
Yes, yes.
They
They
were-
were first place.
It was incredible.
Because of teamwork.
It was awesome to watch.
Those kids that did that thing.
Yeah.
In the whole state.
More than the state, there was international teams there.
It was
really something.
We have to remember too, just on that, the Ithaca people really helped us a lot. Those, it was Code Red people down in Ithaca were big helps in getting us going, and that, developing that partnership, that was really good. So, yeah, that's really good.
So that's really it. I just wanted to say, in relation to the conversation and what Douglas was talking about, I think if you really look at what our kids are doing, what the students are doing at Shermansburg, we're doing some awesome things. Like, look at Robot Raiders. Look at all the seniors who are getting into colleges. It's been, I think, my experience both on the board and in the school has been fantastic. So don't get too alarmist. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, we also know that what we do here, we just want, I think the point is, we do it really well here. And I think we have to keep telling everybody, right, Douglas? I mean, you travel, you see a lot more stuff than we do. We do it pretty well here.
We are horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but in all honesty, I mean, there's change coming.
Yeah.
Huge change coming. And
So,
we
so,
need to keep that-
and speaking of change, the Finger Lakes Press was touting our spring sports. Did you read that? We are apparently golf and baseball and track, we're always, reckoned with, but, all the sports, how about that? Yeah, I know Gary, which I know he likes getting puffed up about the sports thing. He would like that. I had that on my list to thank him too. Okay.
I'm not, are you done now?
Yeah, that's okay.
Other things for board forum?
Oh, the only thing I wanted to.
Yeah, I thought you said you were done, were you? But that's good for checking if I interrupted.
I was just wondering, thinking the public should know about the school board election coming up and when the times are that the applications have to be in. I think that should be general public knowledge.
Yeah, you have to have, yeah, can we put that, we have that, I think. Do we have
Is
that
that
on
on
the
our
website?
website?
I'll look.
We used to have it at one point.
I don't put the petitions on the website, but I can put deadlines and vacancies
Yeah.
and all of that.
That's, what are they?
April 21st.
There's
is
two,
when
it's
petitions
John,
are
it's
due.
2 seats this year. And you gotta have it in by April 21st.
And you
And
need
it's
25?
25 citizen signatures, yeah, resident
John
signatures.
and.
It's, yeah, my
Brian's,
seat is,
right? Yeah.
Oh.
I'll put it right on the homepage,
Yep.
right on our
Just so people know.
homepage.
yeah, I'm hoping somebody runs.
That's the
I'm
thing,
hoping.
you know.
Yeah, get me out of here.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, no, you don't, Frank.
Just a little healthy
No,
competition.
no, I'm carrying it around. Just, I think it is good.
Yeah.
We
Well,
are
always
all,
have trouble getting.
we do have trouble. I think it is important to sort of promote that thing, for sure. Do we have correspondence? I got something in the
I have a
mail.
comment or two, please.
Let's hear it, John. Sorry, board forum.
Primarily, I would like to thank the citizens who wrote letters to our Congress legislators and made phone calls. As you can see, we certainly had some effect. We've had numerous meetings with Barbara Lifton and Palmisano, last week Mr. O'Mara, and Mr. Nozzolio I couldn't get to, so I mailed his, but I got to return the receipt, so I know that they got it. But looking into the future, it appears that they're looking for even more efficiencies from all local governments, not only our schools. And one thing that I have found when I visited these assembly people and legislators from the state is, while the school is geographically Tompkins County, we're in a very unique situation because we have Schuyler County and we have Seneca County, which consist of several towns.
And Fayette.
So I've taken it upon myself to recognize that we have to find more efficiencies for next year. And while we already work with the village, and maybe even the town on the fuel dump to try to lower cost of governments, there has to be more efficiencies out there, and the state is going to look for them. So I'm attempting to come up with a plan, and I presented it to Barbara Lifton, who met with Greg Lee, to meet with various representatives from the town of Ulysses, the county of Tompkins, Seneca and Schuyler, Hector, townships of Hector, Covert, and Ulysses, that maybe we can all sit down and at least do an exploratory on what we can do to work together in some fashion to lower the cost of government. One thing that we all worry about is when we get our tax bills and how expensive they are. While I'm not appreciative of how the government or the governor is forcing this, it's certainly worthy of looking into. So that's what I hope to be working on here for the next few months, toward next year. So we're not all standing in Albany in front of the governor with our hands out asking for more aid. I want to start the fight today.
Yeah, thank you, John. I guess I'm sort of wondering, what are the kinds of efficiencies that we see in those areas? What would they look to us for? What kinds of things do we have for them?
The fuel system is one thing.
Bus garages, maintenance, that's
Even lawn
fairly
mowing
common.
service.
Lawn mowing services, plowing, all sorts.
And if you can pay attention to the news, the reduction in font size will be able to render us a significant savings.
But that's a whole lot of you basically to sit around like this and start bitching.
Well, I guess from my perspective too, I mean, I think that that's what we're trying to do in the district, is keep finding those efficiencies. Okay, so, are we ready to move on now, I think? How are we doing? Any more for board forum? Okay. John King.
So my presentation, if the technology works the first time out of the gate. It took about 2 minutes to load the video the last time when I tested it this morning. So what we're doing here is I'm going to airplay a video that hopefully will.
So the Apple TV is plugged up to the projector.
And course, it's going to go slow.
So Kimberly, if you had your presentation on an Apple computer.
I
and
talked
an
about that
iPad,
today.
You could have just thrown it up there and you wouldn't
Yeah.
have had to work with that paperweight.
Right. I'll aim for that for Monday. Be more whiz bang
There you
exciting.
go. Stand out there with your iPad, flicking
Okay.
it around like King's
Right.
doing now.
You got it.
There he goes.
And
Was it loading off the internet, John?
it's a video that I have on my iPad that I created using iMovie to illustrate, to address the question of what does STEM education look like in our building. So it
At
says that it's-
T-Bird?
At
At
T-Bird.
At T-Bird.
At T-Bird.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
What is STEM education? Science, technology, engineering, and math. Why is STEM a priority? STEM education is an absolute necessity as we prepare students for the 21st century jobs that they will have after graduation. We often acknowledge that the jobs our current students will enter 5 years from now may not even exist today. So we prepare them by exposing them to a curriculum that challenges them to think critically and to solve problems using information and technology. How do we do this? First, let's consider the STEM curriculum. In math, we have a series of courses that lead to culminating courses including college pre-calculus and AP Calculus AB. In science, our students have extensive opportunities to expand their skills in exploration and research in courses in both physical and life sciences. Culminating coursework includes college-level courses in physics, biology, chemistry, and environmental science. Finally, through our technology department, our students have tremendous opportunities to apply the information they learn in math and science through coursework in pre-engineering related to design, production, and media. STEM education is much more than just a STEM curriculum. Trumansburg High School students are exposed to the concepts of problem solving, critical thinking, and the use of technology across all contents. In part, this is related to our Common Core curriculum. It is also related to the infusion of technology in our general approach to instruction. This series of photos illustrates a cross-section of a typical day at Charles O. Dickerson High School. These photos were taken over the course of about 10 minutes as I walked through the school. They illustrate our students in courses in all departments and representing all grade levels engaged with technology. And while all that was going on, the Robot Raiders were headed to their first regional competition and taking these skills to a whole new level. This past weekend, our students demonstrated with pride the fact that a group of Trumansburg students can keep pace with students from anywhere when it comes to technology and creativity. I know that our Charles O. Dickerson High School students appreciate the opportunities that they have in STEM education, both now and in the future.
How about you, John King? So that's going up on the web, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, we can make that right on the homepage, right in the middle of the, smack in the middle of the homepage?
Yeah. So the idea, the reason that I did it that way is because I wanted you to see what our students are capable of. Because every single thing that I did in that video was done strictly using this iPad. Nothing more, no computers, no nothing. Just, I grabbed my iPad, searched the internet for a couple of pictures, went around the building, took pictures. And what you saw literally was not staged in any way, shape, or form. I literally walked around the building. I took 10 minutes, probably a fourth period, and just I walked through the building, and I walked into random classrooms. I saw kids engaged with technology, and I took pictures. So if you asked a student how much are they using their iPad or how often do they use technology, they'd say, eh. But when you actually walk around and see them doing it, they're using it a lot. It's being used in a lot of different places. And each day it becomes more and more a part. I took 4 teachers last week to a conference over up in Rochester on the best iPad applications. But it's so much more than just using the iPads. It's about you know, what you see in the technology classrooms with Jim, what you see in the physics lab, in the AP Bio lab, you know, and when I talk about our culminating courses, understand that those are the culminations, those are the peaks, but there's a program that runs all the way up through that. There are introductory courses, you know, depending on student skill levels, that all of our students are being exposed to math, science, technology, at levels that hopefully challenge them. And all of that aligns with Common Core and that idea of critical thinking and really challenging kids to think critically about information. So, and I would agree, I love to hear when Abby talks about what kids are doing in our school, because when I walk around our building and I have seniors coming running up to me in the hallways to tell me the places that they've been accepted for colleges, across the board, not just our high flyers, but all of the seniors and the places that they're going to, it's because of the good work that our teachers are doing with them and how these kids are being challenged. So, and it has a lot to do with your continued support and advocacy. So all of the letter writing to the state legislature to help us protect our programs is what we need. So.
Thank you, John. One more time with the lights, Cisco, you don't mind?
No.
No,
Can I
you're
do
not
one
ready?
more
She's
thing?
got
You
something.
Quickly,
can.
do you mind?
No.
I'm gonna move over there, 'cause
Okay.
I'm setting up a PowerPoint.
Okay.
Our 3rd and 4th graders were invited to the Elmira Jackals hockey game this last Saturday, and they went on the ice and sang "O Canada," and so I'm going to play
No
it for you. They
way.
did. 60 students we took, and we had some middle schoolers too. 60 students we took. They did a great job.
Is that Hope?
Yep.
Yep.
And one of our high school students also, who is
Yeah, floating, it just
swimming,
takes a second.
supporting us. Mhm. Debbie Criswell, she's great.
How long were you practicing? How long they practiced the song?
Well, we got the invitation, so they only had a couple weeks, so they
Yeah.
really worked.
Did they sing it in French?
No, they did not. And we had a huge Trumansburg contingent go. We had an entire section of Trumansburg families. We had 2 school buses we took.
Oh, that was great. They were probably happy to have the fans.
I think so. Sorry. Do you want to come back to it?
No.
Have they been rehearsing before school?
During chorus time on Wednesday mornings, yeah,
So you downloaded from your iPad or from the internet?
iPad. I'm sure it's gonna go faster since we're all watching it.
As the
Of
compiling
course
unit
it's gonna go
should
faster. We could probably do the consent agenda while it's
Yeah.
happening there.
Please do.
Unless there's anybody wants anything pulled out. Michael is gonna talk about the calendar. Are there any items that we want pulled out of the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, let's move it for 11A through K. I need a motion? And a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes. We are still waiting, so we will move on to new business. And we have the 3 walk-ons here. We'll start with the leave of absence. I need a motion?
Second.
And a excellent, by Jane. Any discussion?
What is, this person's, has she been out for a year now?
Question is about the leave, this person.
Yes, this is extending the 1 year.
Extending a 1-year leave.
Is that something that we do?
I think we're allowed,
In our contract, it says that we can do it, and
Okay.
we'll do that.
we're gonna be careful what we talk about too, right?
Right.
But yes, I think we're allowed to do this.
Okay.
Let's hope. We're allowed to do everything we recommend doing.
I understand, I know that we, had one of these cases a few years back that caused a lot of controversy.
Oh. So, Peter, do we wanna have executive session about this, or are are you comfortable moving with this? 'Cause how urgent is that this gets done tonight, I guess? Do you wanna have more information about this?
I guess not, you know.
It's your call, no? Okay. All right, so, further discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Abstain? Okay. Acceptance of resignation, I need a motion. And a second? Discussion? All in favor? Aye? Opposed? Okay. And then an appointment for extracurricular staff, I need a motion.
So moved.
And a second? All, discussion? All in favor? Aye? So moved. So now, let's hear the Canadian National Anthem. Are we gonna hear it?
What do you think?
Because I only got a few tap dancing left before we're
Okay.
gonna give it to Dr. McGuire here.
I pressed play. You go and look at me.
You've reached the end of the internet.
Yeah, just for the record, all of our kids, Jeannie's, Sarah's, and mine
Are in this crowd?
Are in that
Oh,
group.
who's that?
See, the pink went all the way by the neck.
Oh, yeah.
I can take care of both my items without a problem. And probably the amount of time it takes that bar to get all the way across. I'd like to move ahead because.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just fear you're gonna start, and those little kids are gonna start singing, and as a former choral director.
I'll turn it down.
Uh,
I'll pause it, I'm gonna start.
Two
Yeah.
things I'd like to mention real briefly. One is, the board has seen the nutrition services operational financial report. We identified long ago we needed to make some moves in that area and take a deeper look. We hired consultants, we got the report. Right now, we're in a leadership transition, and we don't, we can't really move forward on the implementation of the recommendations. So that it's firmed up, we expect that any day now. So just to let you know, we haven't dropped it, but, we're in a transition. Calendar.
It was a wide look at a program that we've had here at the district.
Oh, we're singing.
I got one thing.
No, that's good, because I want to save time for Cal. Did anybody fall coming on or off the ice?
Did you notice that like halfway through the video, I was crouched on the ice, it was like.
Oh, no.
Let's show that.
Okay, so now, one more thing from you.
Yes, Michael, how do I switch to this?
I think John's got the control.
Can you keep
Yep.
that control of
If
this?
you press
You
the
betcha.
computer, should be all set.
Because the Apple TV just takes an input on that.
Okay.
Takes the
Great.
HDMI input.
The calendar has a lot of details, but it's really not a mystery. This is important. The most important part is right here, all the conditions. We have 180 days required, and that's any combination of student days and professional development slash whole or half days. We commonly call those superintendent conference days. We can take up to 3 of those. So 177 days, student days, their bodies in chairs, plus 3 superintendent's conference days equals the state requirement of 180. We try to build in more than that because of a thing called snow days. The other, before that is BOCES calendar, the TST BOCES districts. We try to match up somehow. It's a crazy maker if we don't at least attempt to match up our breaks, because then our BOCES students are all grouped up. We talked about parent-teacher conferences. We talked about state testing days. This year, or as we developed this calendar, one thing we came up with was we had a choice of arriving back from spring break and testing the following Tuesday, and we didn't want to do that to our students. Regents exams, we got to be careful of that. Scoring days, those are real days. Federal holidays, the impact of varied weekdays, for instance, next year, the Veterans Day holiday falls on a Tuesday, that's a crazy maker. Because what do you do with Monday? We had originally thought about having a half day on Monday, that doesn't make sense. So we're just gonna take the whole day on Monday for Professional Development Day. That gives our families, honestly, a 4-day weekend. We have significant professional development needs. We had the conversation earlier about why does it seem like the Common Core is working here? And while we have concerns and rich dialogue about it, it doesn't seem to generate the emotional energy that it has in other places. That's because we have had some of this resource called Professional Development Days, so our staff could really talk about it. And Beth Dreyer and Allison Stitt, and they just go right down the list of the people from BOCES who have helped us, and Sarah's coordinated all of that. And we do think about our families and childcare. We know that an early release day, we had proposed one day. In fact, as I can tell you, on the difference between the calendar you received in your packet and the calendar that you received tonight is December 12th. We had originally thought, well, in order to preserve a snow day, we would have our 5 through 12 students come that day, and that's just a crazy maker. So we decided to just leave that the whole K through 12 student body will have a day off, and we have conferences that day, so that's kind of a mixed up, messy day for our staff, but we will have professional development on that day. But by doing that, we lost one of our snow days. You'll see a summary at the end. Starting before Labor Day, got to think about that. Do we really want to do that? Going late into June, we already go pretty late in June. And then payroll is wrapped into all of this, and our support staff days are wrapped into all of this. Any questions about that?
So just so you say, we have those messy days where you might have K through 8 conference, K through 5, the elementary school teacher meetings when the other schools are in session.
Well, another messy day, well, I call them that for lack of a better term, but another messy day is in January. The end of January, our 9 through 12 students might have Regents exams, while our K through 8 students don't have that. So we just decided to have a day where we have professional development that day. That's a good example of that.
Good.
So this is what's in front of you, and I'll fly through this because you can read both. But this shows you how carefully we have to look at it. And of course, the Green Days are paydays. Okay, so get all to the end of it. In summary, because, and I know there was a concern this last year, the current year we're in, we did have 6 early release days. And one of those ended up falling on February 5th, which turned out to be a non-school day, so that one sort of got wiped out all over the place. But in comparison of year to year, full conference days, last 13-14, we had 4, 14-15, we're proposing 6, and one of those is that Monday, that crazy Monday, right before Veterans Day, which makes sense. And then the other one is we were originally thinking about a half day on February 13th, but the way that falls right before the weekend, we decided to make that a full day. The second comparison with the year we're in right now, we proposed 6 of these half-day early dismissal, which we know is a challenge for families and childcare and making it all work. And next year we're only proposing 3 of those. Half-day dismissal for grades K through 4, one of those the year we're in, one of those next year, and then this is the other kind of goofy day is the last day of the year is a half, for example, is the half-day dismissal. Grades K through 8, we had 2 of those days. One of those is in the middle of the year, and then we're proposing 2 of those next year. However, the difference is this year we had 4 snow days to work with. This calendar proposes that we'll have 3. I think we can make that work this year. I think we got lucky and made good decisions around when to have early release. Late arrival or early release. We used early release that one day. And so far we've made it work, and we still have one.
Because you can still count those as days.
You can still count those as days, and we've made it work. So that's kind of how we developed the calendar. You can see the list of rules starts putting you, limits your choices very quickly. The other thing is around federal holidays, the winter break, wherever the holidays fall in there,
can throw things off. And as you can see, we chose to go to school for a couple of days that first week this next year. But if we hadn't, we would be,
we'd have even less snow days, down to one, which didn't work. So that's the things that drive the choices around calendar.
Okay, questions for Michael on the calendar? Thanks for that. We haven't heard that in a while, and I know everybody asks about it. Before we adjourn, just one more thing that I should have brought up in board forum. We have to finish Michael's, we have to get our evaluation submitted. So we're gonna do that in executive session. I'm gonna propose to the board that I have to get those to summarize them, look them over, and then we'd like to discuss it in executive session. I'd like that to be next Monday. We have a board meeting next Monday. I'd like to make that discussion at that time, so we'll make Gary and Glenn aware of that. But short of that, that's what I have, so please, Peter has done his, Douglas has done his. We were a little deficient, we don't have Glenn again. Douglas has done hers, what'd I say? You said when you ran for the board for the first time.
I know.
Right? So, okay. So I used up my one shot at it.
Can I make one more comment?
Absolutely.
And that is that I think another reason that the Common Core has done so well in the school is that our principals have worked diligently with families. I mean, Jeannie, I know, has worked with families concerns about Common Core as everyone else. And there have been districts where that just wasn't done. And that makes it easier in acceptance of something of that nature. We've been very, very lucky, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Good. Move for adjournment?
No, just a quick question
Yes.
to Jeannie.
Yes.
You have, I'd like to make it a public, so everybody knows, but you nominated one of your elementary school
Yes.
teachers.
Yes, we have Sheila Miller has been nominated for an award through State Ed, and we had 9 people write letters in support of her nomination, and they've been submitted. And so now the selection committee will review her application, and they will interview finalists, and then we should know, I believe, the end of April, beginning of May, if she has won. So I think she, based on the letters, which were amazing, I don't know why she wouldn't win.
We're gonna make a fuss about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we're gonna make a fuss about these retirees as well.
Yes,
We're gonna
we
make a
should.
fuss
We will.
about that as well. Okay, thanks very much.